What's good, you guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Tamaria, and I go by Tamaria Leke on all my socials. So feel free to follow me on your favorite one. Tonight, we are still jumping into a read along for my first memoir. I just wrote a memoir. It's out. It's available on Amazon and also Kindle. I do but not till death. My inner turmoils, relationship codependency, and spiritual conflicts that I've experienced as a young woman, looking for herself, looking for God, and looking for love. Unfortunately, in the beginning, I looked in all the wrong places, and now I know where it's at. And so I'm here to be an open book, a testament to God's grace, a testament to God's love, and also a testament to God's promise. So, if you want to get caught up, again, we are on chapter 4. Um, you can go ahead and go to my YouTube channel and catch up on chapter 1, 2, and 3. Also, follow me on Instagram and Snapchat in case you have any questions and you want to go ahead and have them answered in a Q&A. All right, so this can be relationships about things that you heard about my experience, or even things that you're going through in your experience and you're having some trouble and some issues with, and you just need a little bit of help. Of course, I'm going to suggest that you always go to God first, but I am here as someone that's open and willing to point you in a direction of how you can reach out, get closer to God in the decision and journey that you're experiencing, or the situation that you're experiencing. All right, so we're on chapter 4. Okay. All right. If you are returning, thank you for returning. To continue this read along with me. It is a very vulnerable experience. Very, very vulnerable. Vulnerable. So yeah, thank you for being open to sharing this moment with me. Leave some hearts on the screen, some likes on the screen. Again, share this on any of your social media platforms so that we can get, this to more people that not only want it, but also people that need it. Yeah, let's go ahead and get into chapter 4. Let's do it. So chapter 4 is titled First Pick Draft to the Yoruba Demons. Yeah, that's chapter 4. First draft pick to the Yoruba Demons. All right. I know African men are coming over into the Western world, and they are sweeping the girls up off their feet. I can't say all of them are demons, but one thing I will say is if someone associates themselves with being a demon culturally, just run, sis, run. Like, there's other tribes that I hear is better. I don't know. But if a culture is associating themselves as being demons, it's probably not something you want to play with. That's all I'm going to say. Because they going to talk real sweet. They going to have big dreams, big goals, right? They going to wear the best mask that you've ever seen. And on the outside, it's going to look somewhat right. But on the inside, if you dig a little bit deeper, you might discover why they call themselves the Yoruba demon. right? It's 2025. A lot of people are really self identifying as demons. Um, that's something to keep in mind whenever you are meeting people, whether it's for friendships or whether it's for relationships, whether it's for business partnerships. You got to be careful with your discernment and your intuition when you out here wanting to share time and energy with people because as we know in this world we are humans having a spiritual journey. We're experiencing life as humans on a spiritual aspect, and we're either on the north side of the spiritual team or we on the south side of the spiritual tween. Some people say right in the middle, like, which way am I going to go? Which way am I going to benefit the most from? I'm here to say it's going to be the north side, in case anybody's wondering. It's the north. But yeah, they have, a decent amount of game. And when I think about Adam and Eve, and I think about the serpent coming to Eve and offering her the suggestion, he just merely said something. He didn't say she should eat the apple, but he made it so tempting to where she wanted to see what would happen if she did. Right. And that's how you gotta watch out for how people talk to you because communication, it is a spell. And some people are really good with what they say, how they say it, and how they present it. And if you're not listening carefully with your spiritual ears and you just listening with your fleshly ears about what you can gain in the physical and you dismiss what can happen in the spiritual, mm, mm. It'll be a lesson for you, for sure. For sure, it'll be a lesson that, I hope everyone makes it out of. I hope you survive. All right, chapter 4. Mm. First pick draft to the demons, right? We do have to be accountable for our actions, accountable for our choices, accountable for our decision and our path, right? We have to be accountable in knowing that we have more than enough strength to direct our own ship, our own vessel, our own physical body to where it needs to go, right? And then as we're going to where it needs to go, we'll stumble across people going in the same direction. And then we'll be able to build together as we get closer and closer to the finish line. But if you just work with anybody from the north or the south, you might be putting yourself further and further away from the finish line and be wondering why. Why aren't things working out in the way that I know they can and could? And it's because you might be working with the op. So you gotta be careful who you associate with. Okay. All right, let's get into chapter 4. Be sure to like this video, share it again on your social media platforms, and yeah, let's go. All right. The Oklahoma Thunder game blurred into the background, Durant's effortless scoring a soundtrack as she twisted Fifi's hair. Many twists, light and precise, rhythm of her touch, the familiar rhythm of her touch, usually a comfort but like a gauge tonight. Then the text. Do you want to make some money? It felt surreal, like a bad joke. But the follow up about a recent marriage and a friend needing a wife for immigration purposes, that was unsettling specific. That was unsettling Pacific. My gut churned. This wasn't just about money, it was about lying, more deception. Fifi would hate this. The thought of her disappointment was a cold weight on my chest. Tamaria's impulsive. Ups- Tamaria's impulsive acceptance of the impromptu wedding reception. My tongue is getting tired. Let me try it again. Tamaria's impulsive acceptance of the impromptu wedding reception proved a jarring experience. It was a bizarre, unsettling spectacle, a grotesque prodigy of a loving union, a sham, utterly devoid of genuine affection. A suffocating atmosphere hung heavy in the small dwelling, overflowing with humanity. The aroma of sizzling substance, a uniquely African fragrance, infused the air, creating a sense of profound strangeness. Afrobeats, music pulsed, a relentless rhythm that mirrored the frantic beat of my heart. My sweats and t shirt felt like a uniform of my own inadequacy, a stark reminder of my comfortable, predictable life, Fifi's life. My son quietly observing was, let me start over. This chapter, I don't know, gone down. It's okay. It's over. You're protected. Chill out. Okay. My son, quietly observing, was instantly accepted. He was one of them somehow, and the pang of jealousy was sharp. He didn't have my reservations, my ingrained sense of right and wrong. You came, Terry from high school rushed over, her face etched with relief. The sight of her happiness The sight of her happiness should have been joyful, but it felt like a condemnation of my own stagnant existence. This is crazy, right? She whispered, courthouse wedding, groom hiding, bride gone. The words hung in the air, a mirror reflecting my own impeding moral transgressions. Later, sitting on a sagging futon, I noticed him. He smelled of Hennessy and something vaguely floral, a scent that, despite itself, was strangely alluring. His gaze, heavy with anticipation, drew him nearer, a familiarity, unsettling in its intensity, permeated his introduction. Hello, I'm Kofi. Samaria, though privy to his quest for a spouse, pressed for specifics. What kind of wife? She inquired. His response, a mumbled, almost inaudible confession, struck a chilling chord. Someone like my mother. The words hung in the air, a cruel irony lacerating the fragile piece of my own fractured bond with VP. The prospect of another child, grown child, induced a visceral recoil. Later in life, profound introspection and keen observation revealed to Tamaria in a universal yearning the profound desire to receive a childlike love, a longing inherent in every soul, regardless of background or age. As children of a cosmic parent, this craving seemed both natural and inevitable. Yet she also bore witness to the insidious manipulative, and ego driven tactics employed by humanity in its desperate pursuits of external affection and approval. This reckless pursuit of marriage, this false and selfish act of commitment, represented a profound violation of my deepest principles, a stark betrayal of everything I profess to hold dear. Yet the loneliness, the unspoken resentment that had festered between Fifi and me for months clawed at me. A desperate hunger. He offered me a drink, something strong and sweet. I took it, an act of submission against the life I chaotically constructed. A blunt followed, the smoke blurring the already hazy line between right and wrong. The chaos around me faded, replaced by a numb, detached, and terrifying freedom. Outside, under a weak bulb, he leaned against the beam. Can I kiss you? He whispered. My hesitation, a battleground, Fifi, the weapon, the months of awkward silence, the simmering resentment that had poisoned our relationship. I stood on a precept, poised to sacrifice everything for this infatuation, a reckless gamble fueled by the sting of her betrayal. His friend's playful nudge felt like a shove into the abyss. The air crackled with possibility and fear. Fifi's disappointment sigh Fifi's disappointed sigh echoed in my mind, a sharp counterpoint to the electric thrill. Okay, I breathed. The kiss was light, but the act felt monumental, a catastrophic rebellion. The taste of defiance mingled with the bitter taste of regret. He pulled back, his eyes dark and searching again, and this time the kiss was deeper, more intense. A rush of recklessness, a desperate escape from the suffocating reality of my life. Okay, so if you're not caught up on chapters 1, 2, and 3, then you're not gonna know, like, okay, so she needs the money for what? Why is she trying to rush into this scam marriage for what? You gotta go and actually get the book because I don't disclose it all in chapters 1, 2, and 3. So, okay. And then we're going to skip some. Okay. We're going to skip some. But before we skip, I also want to let me make this point clear. So I do realize in that act, me not allowing myself to take the time to just really sit and find God and find answers to the problems that I was going to only allowed me to make repeated problems and repeated issues for me. It was like me trying to figure out everything that I was going through, trying to figure out the solution on my own externally by things that I was being tempted by in the world, right? Like being tempted to do things that I know could potentially bring me some type of harm or some type of disruption to the path that I ultimately wanted to be on. But out of lack of knowledge, out of lack of wisdom, out of lack of insight, out of lack of not trusting God, I was going and making decisions that went against my better judgment, right? That was only putting me into situations that were causing me to, not get out of the problem, but put myself deeper and deeper and deeper into the problems that were created because I didn't allow God to figure it out. I didn't allow myself to sit with God to figure it out. Like, there's always multiple solutions, and you don't have to choose solutions that will potentially put you deeper into the pits of hell, right? You can wait. That was my thing. I had an issue with waiting on a solution, right? So I felt like I had to figure out a solution versus just waiting for things to kind of like, come to me naturally, right? And in my panic to make decisions, I made wrong decisions over and over and over and over and over and over again. And so I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not doing this anymore. Wait a minute. I'm not gonna keep doing this. Like after lots and lots and lots of wrong decisions and going down the wrong path. Okay. I'm skipping some and we're gonna continue in chapter 4. So weeks bled into each other, a slow, agonizing drip of escape from the first viper's nest. Adele's raw, guttural cries, a firestorm in her chest, fueled Tamaria's final gut wrenching break with BP. The scent of Axe Temptation's body spray, a deodorant BP always wore, still clung to the air, a phantom limb of their toxic past. Even as Tamaria ripped the bandage off, the sigh of Fifi's stunned, heartbroken face, a mask of betrayal, overlain with a desperate plea, was etched into her soul. Tamaria, an unwitting empath, felt the twin stabs of their pain, a brutal sympathy of sorrow, echoing in her own shattered heart. Freedom, however, tasted like ash. Fifi, a parasitic vine, still clung to her, demanding access to her time, her energy, her battered car, her body. The audacity of it burned. Friends? The words tasted like bile. Tamaria needed a scorched earth policy, a firewall between herself and the wreckage of their relationship. So, what I did when I met him, I was thinking I was finding a solution for one problem when I was really creating more problems on top of the problems that I already had. And then also, as well, I was using the relationship as escape from the relationship that I was in. So instead of just ending that relationship because it needed to be ended, I needed an excuse to end it, right? You know how sometimes they be like, people will push you away until you break up with them. Well, I was kind of like, I was not being pushed away, but I know I needed to break up. But I was like, I need an excuse to break up with her. Like the immaturity in my mindset, right, was like, it was almost even like you can't just break up with somebody just to break up with them. Like, even if something tragic did happen, if you said you're going to be loyal to that person, then that's how you need to be. Right. And so, once again, like wanting to forgive her, but not also move on was a hindrance to my healing and the path that I was on. So I was like, I know I need to leave this girl, but I don't know how. And so when this came along, it may have seemed like an opportunity that was good for me, but it was really just another trap, right? Another trap that I allowed to get me, right? Let me see, where was we at? Okay, we're gonna start here. All right, so before any formal commitment, Samaria had already embraced the responsibilities of a wife. Fifi entered the kitchen. Fifi entered the kitchen encountering Tamaria, diligently preparing a complex African stew for Kofi, who observed the women's animated discussion. What's this? Fifi inquired incredulously. Surely you're not telling me you lack culinary skills now, she teased, alluding to Tamaria's remarkable proficiency. Where was we at? Let me see. What's this? Phoebe inquired incredulously. Surely you're not telling me you lack culinary skills now, she teased, alluding to Tamaria's remarkable proficiency with American cuisine, a talent bordering on professional expertise. Tamaria's secret, however, transcended more. Let me start over, y'all, because okay, before any formal commitment, Samaria had already embraced the responsibilities of a wife. BP entered the kitchen encountering Samaria diligently preparing a complex African stew for Kofi, who observed the women's animated discussion. What's this? Fifi inquired incredulously. Surely you're not telling me you lack culinary skills now, she teased, alluding to Tamaria's remarkable proficiency with American cuisine, a talent bordering on professional expertise. Tamaria's secret, however, transcended mere technique. It was an unwavering infusion of love that elevated her cooking to an art form. Freedom found, Fifi finally left, but the opulent confines of her new haven glittered with a deceptive sheen. Security was hers, a fragile illusion masking the insidious approach of a fresh prevail. Its venomous presence a lurking shadow, the question around marriage loomed, monstrous and inescapable. Wife? Prison? The criminal charges, a sword of Damocles hung over her head, escape. This new reality was a cleverly disguised prison. So I wasn't in a physical prison because of what I did in the physical world, but I was definitely trapped in a spiritual prison because of what I did in both the physical and the spiritual world. And if you haven't read one, two, and three, it's probably not going to make sense. But that's what I realized, once it was all said and done. And I just really had the moment to reflect over what I did. Like, I made a choice to move from a person who attempted to take me out in the physical on to a person who attempted to wear a mask to love me in the physical, but was trying to take me out in the spiritual. It all clicked once I got away from everything and everybody, right? When I could see myself clearly, then I could see other people clearly, right? So, oh, let me see. Where are we going to start? And so, what I had to learn as well is if I could create such nightmarish realities because of the energy that I was embodying from being essentially a member of the South instead of the North, then I had the opportunity to also, each new day, I had the option to redirect my thoughts, redirect my emotions, redirect my energy, and to elevate to become a member of the North, right? But it was a decision that I had to make internally and externally and sync them together as I'm moving, right? Okay. So let's see. Okay, she was a god, yes, but a temptress, fractured deity, forged not in gentle fire, but in the catalysmic heart of a supernova. Each ragged breath was a tremor, a prelude to the seismic shift of her will. Her eyes, twin pools of melting gold reflecting the shadowed fury within, could shadow could shatter mountains, could level empires, could crack the very foundation of reality with the raw, untamed force of power so immense it bordered on terrifying. The world trembled before her, a fragile thing beneath the weight of her raft, a mere plaything in the hands of a goddess born from pain, a queen crowned in thorns. Unaware of her inner fire, a potent energy coursing through her far lips, the sacred, well meaning gestures of others. Their feeble attempts at solace, offered like brittle strands of hope, felt insignificant in comparison to the radiant force that resided within. It was a power that tastes like iron and ash on her tongue, a power that smelled of ozone and scorched earth, a power that felt like wildfire burning through her, threatening to consume her utterly. And she didn't learn how to tap in and control it. The energy that we have within us does need to be controlled, right? Okay. I'm skipping some. Mm, let me see how much we got left. We got a lot left in here, and we're already at 33 minutes. My lord, it's going by fast. Okay, let's see. There's a lot of good stuff in chapter 4. Okay, I'm going to start here. All right. The truth in the upcoming cycles of her life, a searing brand across her consciousness, slammed her into, or no, let me start over. Okay. The truth in the upcoming cycles of her life, a searing brand across her consciousness, slammed into her. God resided within her, not as a distant deity, judging deity, but as a molten core of raw, untamed power, a wildfire of potential, both terrifying and exhilarating. This gift, this hidden knowledge, this glorious burden of self determination was hers alone to navigate. She felt the suffocating weight of responsibility pressing down on her, a crushing weight that threatened to extinguish the fragile flame of her hope. The choice, raw and brutal, raw and brutal, belonged to her. Then, and the eternity she craved burned with the fire of her own decisions. The frantic tremor in Samaria's hands betrayed her. She devoured life, a rambunctious beast gobbling at a feast. It could, y'all, hold on one second. Mm. Okay. The frantic tremor in Samaria's hands betrayed her. She devoured life, a rambunctious beast gobbling at a feast it couldn't properly digest. Each creation, a frantic, feverish scrawl, born of impatience and stained with the bitter taste of failure. The scent of burnt offerings clung to her, a testament to her relentless pursuit of instant gratification. She'd forgotten the slow, simmering heat of spiritual growth, the gentle unfolding of the soul, mistaking the sacred journey for a brutal sprint. God, in his infinite wisdom, had offered her the sweet, creamy succulence of milk, but she clawed for the coarse, indigestible. God, in his infinite wisdom, had offered her the sweet, creamy succulence of milk, but she clawed for the coarse, indigestible grains of the instant manifestations, demanding the ripened fruit before it even blossomed on the vine. In a world drowning in shadows, where the whispers of doubt nod at the edge of sanity, God alone became her sanctuary, a refuge where the burning embers of her soul found flickering solace, a desperate whispered prayer in the deafening silence. Her desperation was a palpable thing, a thick, suffocating fog clinging to her like a robe. Was this marriage to an African boy she'd barely known, a union rushed into a mist, a whirlwind of societal pressure, and her own desperate longing for belonging and success? Or was there another hidden route she hadn't yet glimpsed? She looked for clues everywhere in the faces of strangers, the choices of her neighbors, the tangled webs of their relationships, but nothing clicked. The answers weren't in the world or the people in it. Desperation gnawed at her. Society dictated the normal course: marriage, stability, conformity. But following that path felt like a betrayal, a slow suffocation of her spirit. The conflict raged within her. The voice of God, gentle yet insistent, battled within the seductive siren's song of acceptance, of belonging, of escaping the harsh realities of her life. Her internal antagonist of voice, born of fear and ingrained societal expectation, whispered insidious doubts. What if God doesn't understand your struggles? It hissed. What if this is your only chance at happiness, at escaping poverty? The voice twisted the voice twisted her desires for a simple poise life into a weakness, a selfish indulgence. To choose God felt like choosing isolation, a life of hardship. To choose the normal path, however, felt like selling her soul, a compromise with the very sin she desperately sought to escape. Then came the ultimatum. She agonized over the choice, the promise of a better future, battled with the certainty of compromising her faith. Mm. Torn between the desire for a comfortable life and her commitment to God, Tamaria made a choice, a bad choice, born of fear and desperation, a choice that brought her immediate relief, but left a bitter taste of regret clinging to her soul. A secret burden she carried, a fissure growing between her and the God she so desperately sought to serve. Unknowingly, it was her, the vibrant, ambitious woman she envisioned becoming who needed to be served. It was her, the strong, independent woman she secretly admired who needed to be honored. But building a healthy relationship with this future self felt like a betrayal of the cautious, self depreciating woman she actually was. This, her, demanded a life she felt utterly undeserving of, a life brimming with success and joy, a stark contrast to the quiet, comfortable mediocrity she built her life around. To love this future self meant abandoning the safety net of self doubt, the familiar comfort of unfulfilled potential. The antagonist wasn't a person, but a crippling self doubt, a voice whispering insidious lies. You're not good enough. This life isn't for you. You'll fail. You'll embarrass yourself. You'll hurt people who love you. This voice forced her to go against her deepest yearning for a better life, convincing her that contentment lay in remaining unseen, unheard, unchanged. The looming threat of failure pushed her towards a bad choice. She sabotaged a promising opportunity, a chance to prove herself worthy of the life she craved. Choosing the predictable sting of regret over the terrifying leap of faith, this failure solidified her self doubt, a self fulfilling prophecy that reinforced the lies whispered by her inner antagonist. And then there's some more, but we're going to go ahead and end it there because we are already at 41 minutes. And that's chapter 4, right? So, one thing I can say about the things that I've gone through, and as far as the healing journey, is when you go through the healing journey, you do have to go back and look at yourself and be like, damn, I really did mess up. I really did make some stupid decisions. I really did go and follow some, stupid people on a stupid path. And I really put myself in a position that I didn't have to be in, and it's because I was acting out of desperation, right? And it's like when you're acting out of desperation, you get desperate situations and circumstances, right? Had I had more faith in myself, in my connection to God, then I wouldn't have felt the need to attach myself to anybody for the wrong purpose, right? So yeah, taking accountability in the healing journey, it does take a lot of work because it's easy to be the victim, right? But it's hard to really just sit back and be like, damn, like I could have walked away from this so many times, yet I chose to stay in the midst of the darkness, in the midst of the pain, in the midst of the lies, in the midst of the deception, right? You have to be honest with yourself. And I definitely, take accountability for the delays that I've experienced while attempting to reach the north, right? The north side. I accept my part, my choices, my decisions, and my faith in which I thought was big, but was obviously small or misdirected into the wrong places and the wrong people. Yeah. And so in that moment, I was attracting everything that I was. I was desperate. I was broke. I was sad. I was depressed. I was lost. So I was a magnet for other energies, other entities that were in the same level of vibration as me, right? And so, because I didn't cast all of my burdens, my trials, my tribulations, my worries, my pain, my guilt, my sadness to God, I carried it unnecessarily when God sent someone to us to take care of all of that for us so that we wouldn't have to carry that weight in our spirit because it does get really heavy until you learn how to release. Another red flag is, just something you hear in typical dating when he was like, he wanted someone like his mom. I knew within myself that that wasn't going to be me. So I shouldn't have signed up for the assignment if I knew that that was the thing that he was looking for and I wasn't going to be able to deliver it. Right. I never communicated that. Like, I'm not going to be like your mom. Right. That's not my job. And we know like that's a huge red flag for the men who want the woman in their life to play their mother. And in their culture, they want you to be the mom, the sister, the auntie, the grandma, the best friend, the wife, the daughter, like all of them. And it's a lot of work because it's like, who are they gonna be? Okay, what other notes do I got? We're at 46 minutes. Ooh. I was low key against this marriage because my first marriage happened so spontaneous and this seemed like something similar. And it was like, okay, here's the universe testing you again. Are you going to pass this test or are you going to fail? And right. Let me see. I got some notes on this one for real, but I feel like I've already kind of touched on it either in the beginning or middle of the video. Okay, guys, be sure to like the video. If you haven't already liked it, like it, like it, like it, share it, and share it. And then, of course, if you want to donate, I do appreciate all donations at our private place on Venmo. Okay, and then also one of the things that the girls are talking about in dating, and I can confirm to this, do not be the wife before you are the wife, okay? Don't be cooking, don't be doing extra, don't be being the good girl, don't be being the overly nice girl. You don't got anything to prove to them, they have everything to prove to you, okay? Like, don't rush into a relationship. It gives off desperate vibes. And again, desperate vibes put you in situations that treat you as if you're desperate, right? It's as if you're not a gift, right? So don't do that. And then jumping from connection to connection, it's only going to weaken your connection with yourself, which is also going to weaken your connection with God. Because if you get into these relationships and they're not elevating you mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, then they're pulling you down to that south side. And we don't want to be in the south side, we want to be in the north side. But if you keep going from connection to connection, then you're carrying that energy because you haven't healed it onto the next connection. And then they're adding their south side activities to your south side activities. And now you got even more south side activities going on. And then you're just getting deeper and deeper into the pits, right? And it's going to make it harder for you to get out. You do have to let God do the work from the inside out. I was working from the outside in, hoping the rewards would come, right? But you guys, that is pretty much it for this one. I'm going to be wishing you peace, love, and prosperity as always, not only in today, but also in tomorrow and then all of your future endeavors to come. I'll see you in the next one.